Back in April 2019, the greatest stock trade in the history of the world was completed. Mackenzie Scott bought Amazon stock here in 1993, an entire year before the company was founded, and sold here in 2019, 26 years later for a staggering $35 billion in profit. But instead of buying and selling Amazon stock, it was through marrying Jeff Bezos without a prenup and divorcing Jeff Bezos. And after just 4 months of finalizing the divorce, she came out as the third richest woman in the world, a position she still holds. Then there's poor old Elon, who didn't just go through one pricey divorce, not 2 pricey divorces, but 3. The first was with Justine, the first love of his life. They married for 8 years after their relationship began in college.
It's definitely very cool. I like it a lot.
Congratulations.
They had 6 sons together, and their divorce took 2 years. And in California, the wealthier spouse in the divorce has to pay for both sides of the legal battle, even if they weren't the aggressor. So Elon had to pay at least $4 million in legal and accounting fees, which comes out to $170,000 per month. In the end, Justine received $20 million after tax in the form of a house and support payments, which comes out to a nice $20,000 per month dividend. Then came Elon's second marriage with actress Talulah Riley. They divorced in 2012, leaving Riley with $4.2 million. Then they made up, got married again, and then divorced again a year later, leaving Riley with a much more respectable $16 million. So in the end, Riley also got a total of $20 million, just like his first wife, Justine. Which brings us to Bill and Melinda Gates. Bill married Melinda on a Hawaiian Island around the same time as Bezos in 1994. 27 years later in 2021, they filed for divorce and are still working out how much of that $130 billion empire Melinda is gonna get. Both sides have an impressive and expensive legal team too, with Mrs. Gates having the same lawyer that represented Michael Bloomberg and Ivana Trump, and Bill having the same lawyer that represented Mark Zuckerberg and is friends with Warren Buffett. Bill has already given her $2.4 billion worth of shares. If Melinda gets just 25% of that $130 billion, that will make her the 6th richest woman in the world, just like that. Now gentlemen, before you go calling all women gold diggers, unless you're divorcing the ultra wealthy, usually in America the real gold diggers that profit off of a divorce are the divorce lawyers, the judges, the family courts, what we'll call the divorce industrial complex. See, divorce is a business just like anything else, a $50 billion business according to a documentary called Divorce Corp. When you walk past a wedding, the first thought in your mind should not be, oh, how sweet. It should be great, we have more inventory.
When I passed a wedding, I think to myself, that's inventory.
And here is how this industry works.
I've had cases where they've spent $20 million in fees.
The real standard is how much money can we make off these people? That's the standard.
People can get as much justice as they can afford, and that most people cannot afford any justice at all.
The biggest single reason for divorce in this country is marriage.
Think this text animation looks cool? How about this one? Or maybe this one? These animations and some of the stock footage you see in this video is from Storyblocks, today's sponsor. Storyblocks is the all-in-one platform that lets you download unlimited stock footage, audio, music, images, animations, basically all the assets you need to make a video. Storyblocks has them all in one place with a single affordable subscription, and that's what separates Storyblocks from the rest. Most sites make you pay for just music or just video, or worse yet, they make you pay per download. But with Storyblocks, you get everything with unlimited downloads all in one very reasonable subscription. So making pro-level edits like this is as easy as clicking download. So if you're an aspiring creator, marketer, or video editor that wants to make videos faster than ever before, pause the video and go to storyblocks.com/JakeTrend right now with the link below to sign up for their unlimited all-access plan. There's no commitment and you can cancel at any time. That's storyblocks.com/JakeTrend with the link below. When we're drunk on love and we get married, we have this ideal fantasy that's gonna be perfect, that we're gonna live happily ever after.
Charlie, what are you doing, dude? Huh?
But the numbers show otherwise, with nearly 40% of all marriages ending in divorce, meaning that divorce is almost half as common as marriage itself. So we have the supply, there are plenty of divorces out there and plenty more to come, but how do we profit off of it? Well, what most people don't realize is that in America, marriage is not just a vow of love, but a financial contract. The most important and easiest financial contract you'll ever enter into.
Some people plan for months. A basic marriage ceremony can be completed in 10 minutes. All that's really required is proof of age and a $50 fee for a marriage license. But getting divorced is far from easy.
When you get married, all your cash, your car, your house, your assets are all pooled together under you and your spouse's, we'll call it a joint partnership. Neither one of you really owns any of your wealth. The marriage owns all of it. So when you divorce, both of you have to determine who gets what. Since during a divorce things get pretty heated between the two of you, your spouse might claim that you cheated, were abusive, whether that's true or not, and your spouse will demand that they get the house that you paid for, all your money, the kids, etc. You can't have that, so you fight back. And this fight, the fight over your wealth, is where all the money is made. And how do you fight this fight as a spouse? Well, that's where the lawyers come in. So you hire a divorce lawyer to protect yourself against your spouse taking your stuff. You pay them maybe $600 an hour, $700 an hour, and maybe even more insane numbers.
The rate was $600 an hour.
In the Gold Coast of Fairfield County, it's $650 an hour.
I'm not saying I'm worth $700 an hour, but that's what I charge.
And I said to the litigants, I want you to know, it cost us $27,000 an hour. I said, after 2 hours, we will have spent more than most people in this courthouse make in a year.
The more you charge, the more people are willing to pay because they feel that money equals skill.
Why do people pay such high rates? Because they're desperate, they have a lot to lose, and they don't imagine this divorce taking that long, right? I mean, it's just a divorce.
Litigation lasted for over a year.
And my divorce has lasted now over 6.5 years.
I'll be close to 8 years.
8 years.
So you two file for a divorce, which is easy, but actually completing that divorce is much harder. Even if both parties agree to divorce, it needs to be approved by a family court judge. And inside the family courtroom is where the real fun begins. Family courts are like the Wild West because parts of the US Constitution don't apply there. You have no right to an attorney if you can't afford one, and you don't get a jury. Only the judges have the final say. Since you don't have a right to an attorney, one might think that these courts would simplify the divorce law so you can represent yourself easily, but they don't. The rules for family courts differ from state to state and are usually very complicated. Because why not? The more complex the law, the more reliant you are on lawyers, the more they can charge.
The lawyers are the legislatures. They make the laws. The more laws and the more complex they are, the more we have to pay them.
So the first order of business is finding out how much money the two of you have between you to fight over. You guys fill out an income and expense statement, list out your net worth, everything you own.
And the first thing that lawyers do is find out exactly how much money you and your spouse have.
You fill out an income and expense declaration, basically, just to find out how much you're worth.
And once the lawyers and judge have a clear picture of what you have, then the fight begins. As a lawyer, you're paid hourly. Therefore, it's in your best interest to keep the fight going, to pour more and more gasoline onto the fire. Because if your client's divorce is settled, you lose your income stream.
The attorneys definitely don't want to settle the cases because once they do, their income stream has been cut off.
So you want to push your client to fight to get more money from their spouse. He's a scumbag. In my professional experience, she's asking for too much. You need to fight back. You deserve better than this. Don't let him have the last word.
Once the lawyers find out how much each side is worth, they tempt their clients with the prospect of getting more money through fighting.
It has become about winning, and that's both from the economic perspective and from the sort of emotional perspective.
What you have is a tinderbox, and virtually anything can ignite that tinderbox. And the lawyers, frankly, often are throwing gasoline on that fire.
So your spouse starts making wild accusations about you to get your stuff. Even if they're not true, you have to fight back or else you lose everything, which means more billable hours for the lawyers.
It turns out the court system is designed to create conflict. Many lawyers encourage their clients to be as aggressive as possible, tempting them with winning more money. And once someone starts making accusations towards you in court, you have no choice but to fight back. Because if you don't, you could lose it all.
When one party files some paperwork, the other party has to respond or else they lose by default.
One party files something, you have to respond. If you don't respond, you either lose by default, or if it's a contempt petition, you land yourself in jail.
So one of your goals should be to paper the other side until they run out of money to keep fighting.
You're a lawyer, you write a nasty letter. Her lawyer has to write a nasty letter. It's just a great system.
Essentially paper the other side until they can't take it anymore.
and the lawyers have been granted complete immunity in family court. A lawyer can say or do anything, no matter how false or cruel, and waste tens of thousands of dollars intentionally and maliciously, and they cannot be sued for malicious prosecution or excessive litigation.
If there are kids to fight over, even better, because we all know most parents will do almost anything for their kids.
The kids are the pawns.
I use the term little bags of money when there is a contested case over physical custody of the children.
And this will drag on for 6 months, a year, 6 years, maybe even 8 years, maybe even longer than the time you spent married together.
Litigation lasted for over a year.
And my divorce has lasted now over 6.5 years.
I'll be close to 8 years.
8 years.
Until eventually one side or both sides run out of money to pay the legal fees. But it doesn't have to end there. If your client is still really heated, their ego is on the line they can't lose, you might be able to convince them to go into debt to keep fighting and therefore keep paying you.
So how do people pay for all this?
When the liquid cash went out, at that point there, he says, well, I understand you have a $100,000 line of credit, which I had to go ahead and use that in order to pay for my legal defense.
A lot of people go into debt as a result of their divorces.
Some attorneys automatically put a lien on your house just to make sure that eventually they get paid.
And if that isn't enough, the court can even order you to sell everything you own.
But eventually, everyone runs out of money, everyone runs out of credit. And when you finally milked all you can from your client, it's time to pack up your books, close the case, and chase the next divorce. The attorneys aren't alone in this industry though. The other major players are the judges. Like we mentioned, family courts are special in that people don't have the right to an attorney or jury. All that power, the power to determine the financial future of these couples, rests in your more nobler hands. How much money they owe, collecting the money that they owe, who gets the house, who gets the kids, how much child support does one side have to pay the other for the rest of their lives. So much power. And with great power comes great opportunities to be bribed.
There's very few businesses in America where you can sit back and a judge sends you the business and a judge collects your money for you. And that money gets to you for sure. And the beauty of this is all they gotta do is get in good with the judges.
But the real money for being a family court judge is when you retire from public service and walk straight into a private law firm for a giant private salary. All within one day, no waiting period.
And unlike other public officials, judges do not have a waiting period between public and private practice.
And it's all these factors and incentives that come together to make for one hell of a racket. From the fact that it's so easy to be blinded by love, to the legal and financial contract of marriage in the US that almost no one knows about when they get married, to the Wild West family courts and the incentives lawyers and judges have within it. The lawyers and judges rake in the cash, and the average person that gets divorced experiences a 77% drop in wealth. One interesting note is that divorce rates have been on the decline for a while now, since more and more people are getting married at an older age. And there's still a good argument for getting married.
Marriage is like the lottery. You're probably not going to win. But if you win, what you win is so great that it's worth trying. It's worth buying the ticket and taking the ride.
So if you do get married, maybe don't follow in the steps of Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and just get a prenup. As usual, when we go over topics like these, are all divorce lawyers and judges bad? Probably not, but you get the point. If you want to support the channel financially, check out today's sponsor, Storyblocks, with the link below, storyblocks.com/JakeTran, for unlimited video, audio, animations, all the assets you need to make a video. Storyblocks has them with one simple monthly subscription. If you want to win $1,000, all you have to do is submit a video idea for the channel that you think will get at least 1 million views. You have to submit the exact title and thumbnail that the video would use, and if I use your exact thumbnail and title word for word, I will send you $1,000. No one wanted for this video because I was gonna make this video anyways, and all the thumbnails and titles that were submitted for this video topic just weren't all the way there. If you want more video essays just like this one on the most provocative stuff in the world of business, subscribe so you don't miss out. And we're also on TikTok now. The first video got like 700k views, which is really cool, so that will be linked down below as well for TikTok. That is gonna wrap it up for this video. Thank you so much for watching. You've been awesome. I've been Jake. Stay dangerous out there, and I will see you guys in the next one.